Oh, hey, remember Watamote? That comedy anime back in 2013 about a girl with crippling social anxiety failing miserably to become popular that also deconstructed the whole cute, awkward moe girl archetype by having said failures be a product of her own shitty personality? Yeah, turns out she actually has friends now. That's right. Our favorite quasi-incel finally became popular and now has several girlfriends that all want a piece of her. Okay, I'm exaggerating, kind of. But if you've watched the series, you may have seen fan art recently of Tomoko suddenly surrounded by a bunch of girls and thought, "Who the hell are these chicks? I don't remember them in the anime." Well, I'm here to confirm that yes, these are all friends that Tomoko made in the manga. And you know what? It doesn't feel like a cop-out, or a desperate attempt to rework the series for its audience of otaku degenerates who couldn't get into the anime because they didn't want to admit to their own social deficiencies. You know, people like me. So how did Tomoko get all these friends? Well, I'm here to break it down for you. A fair warning, this is more of a recap than a review, so it will have spoilers. I mean, it's a slice of life, and I sincerely believe it shouldn't diminish your enjoyment of the series, but I wanted to put that out there before you guys hate me forever on my very first video. Anyways, let's get to it. So if you watched the anime, you may be aware of how minimal our cast is. Other than Tomoko herself, the only real significant players are her brother Tomoki, her best friend Yu, her cousin Ki-chan, her mom on occasion, and Imai Megumi. The latter is especially important here because it's the first time Tomoko's ever tried to establish a connection with an actual classmate. And that right there is the catalyst that kickstarts her journey to making actual friends. To put it bluntly, the reason Tomoko made these friends is because, well, she was forced into it. What I mean is that in her second year, Tomoko runs into a few people at school that, for one reason or another, she can't really shake off, and she eventually has to learn how to interact with them on a semi-regular basis. One is a girl from a B-tier normie group. Another is her oh-so-helpful homeroom teacher who spouts nonsense like, "You need to put yourself out there," and "Why haven't you made friends yet?" Not realizing that's not actually helping Tomoko's case and only makes you feel more alienated than you already are, Excuse me. But the real instigator of change is a glasses girl named Komiyama, who, if you were desperate for more of the anime like me, you may have seen briefly during the OVA. Basically, she and Tomoko hate each other's guts, and I won't spoil how exactly this started because it's freaking hilarious, but it essentially boils down to Komi wanting to bang Tomoko's brother. So they spend the next few chapters bitching at each other over who's slightly less degenerate, but as it turns out, they both have a mutual friend in Yu, and they eventually realize that they have to maintain a certain degree of civility to not cause trouble for her. And that's actually the first real epiphany Tomoko has. When you have a friend who's nice enough to deal with your crap, you have to be willing to moderate your own shittiness to be friends with them. Of course, this isn't something that Tomoko, or most people for that matter, learn overnight. Tomoko talks to people, yeah, but she doesn't befriend them because that requires an extra push beyond the path of least resistance that Tomoko has set her life on. Almost like building friendships involves making a concerted effort to get to know people or something. Weird. But in any case, Tomoko did get that push in what many fans consider to be the turning point of the series. The Kyoto Field Trip arc. Ask any Redditor or schmuck on 4chan and 11 out of 10 times they'll be like, "This is when the manga really started getting good." And yeah, that's exactly what I said. You know how I mentioned that Tomoko was forced into friendship? Well, I wasn't kidding. During their plans for the trip, Tomoko tries to dip out, but because her aforementioned teacher is the bane of all introverts, Tomoko basically gets grouped in with a bunch of leftover chicks who for one reason or another had no group of their own. To put it simply, Tomoko spends the entire trip with Yoshida, a Yankee girl that beats her up on multiple occasions, Yuri, a seemingly normal girl with even more loner tendencies than Tomoko has, and Uchi, a literal fucking emoji. As you can probably tell, this is a recipe for hilarious shenanigans, and it is, but at the same time, it provides them the chance to see the quiet and shy Tomoko up close for the kind of person she really is. A cynical, perverted, idiotic disaster. And you know what? They're cool with it. I mean, yeah, they never really approve, but the more these girls get to know Tomoko, all the weird shit about her became something close to endearing. And really, that was Tomoko's problem all along. She was so hung up with the idea that people are shallow, vapid assholes who would only like her if she was hot and personable, that she didn't realize that these so-called normies are just regular, decent people with their own baggage. Once Tomoko actually dialed back her overcompensatory habits, stopped being a spiteful jerk, and started being honest with herself, that's when people actually started connecting with her and genuinely found her appealing. Now, for the record, it isn't all sunshine and rainbows for Tomoko. In real life, building friendships is a messy, awkward process, and even those with a high charisma stat don't know what they're doing 100% of the time. After the field trip, Tomoko ends up being acquainted with a bunch of people, sure, but much like how they got to know the real her, Tomoko realizes that these gals are more than just the stereotypes she assumed they were. Nemo, the kind normie she met at the beginning of the year, is actually a passive-aggressive closet otaku. Uchi, the emoji chick, is not as simple as she looks and is actually a lesbo in denial, crushing mad hard on Tomoko because she's fetishized the girl's grossness. And Kato, the classy as hell mom friend, is actually kind of warped in the head and maybe even more of a pervert than Tomoko is. Navigating this minefield of girls who simultaneously want to hug and beat the shit out of her is pretty much where the series has evolved from making us want to drink ourselves into an isekai anime. Instead of us laughing at Tomoko's screw-ups, now we're laughing at the people around her screwing up as well. The only thing that's still constant is that no matter how much Tomoko screws up, no matter how difficult her friends get, no matter how much of a pain in the ass everyone involved can be, these little inklings where we can see that they truly enjoy each other's company is what makes us root for them. And that's honestly why Tomoko's totally not clickbait Yuri Harem is so popular right now. They're not friends with our main character because they like everything about her. They're friends with her because they know how much she sucks, but they still want to be friends with her anyway. Instead of continuing on with the gimmick of a lonely girl failing miserably to make friends and making its audience laugh tears of agonizing depression, Nico Tanigawa actually had the guts to develop the manga itself alongside its protagonist and chose to adapt the series into a coming-of-age story about organic friendships. It's meta as hell, and yeah, some will argue that the series betrayed its premise and it's just pandering to a slightly more mainstream audience who just want to see high school girls engage in implausibly hetero shenanigans. But you know what? That's exactly why you clicked on this video, isn't it? So there you have it. The cringe comedy masterpiece about an unpopular girl ended up becoming popular both in-universe and in reality. If it wasn't already obvious, this series really means a lot to me, and the whole reason I made this thing is because I feel like it should get the recognition that I think it deserves. I mean, it's certainly not because I'm a massive kiss ass and I think that something as negligible as a YouTube video could somehow increase the already minuscule chances of the series getting a second season or something. Yeah, definitely not. Hey YouTube peeps, just wanted to thank you all for watching the video. Honestly, I kinda made this whole thing on a whim, much like I do with everything else in my life. But hey, if you like what you saw, let me know, cause I wouldn't be opposed to making more videos like this in the future. Okay, how do the YouTubers usually end this? Like, comment, and subscribe?